feel from being, an early enrollee when you should have been finishing high school this time last year to that starting experience in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I'm just feeling this time of year, just feeling a little bit more comfortable, knowing more where I'm supposed to be, and just trying to step up more, become a leader as much as I can.
And what's this week for you practice? What's it been like adjusting to new staff? Because you lose Jacoby and Aaron, but you and Cal come back. Just different scheme.
Yeah, we've added some new guys to the room that'll really help us improve not only in the linebacker room, but on the team as a whole. And, like you said, we got a new staff, and Coach Rossi, he's been really harping on us about being vocal and becoming leaders. We've met with him extra every day, making sure that we're understanding the defense as best as we can.
Can you speak to that dynamic of trying to gain trust on guys that you didn't sign up to play for, and them trying to gain trust in you and sort of that new relationship?
Yeah, I mean, everything is just going to come with consistency and time. That's how you trust one another. So that's through practice, that's through coming to meeting extra over time. The trust will grow. We'll be dependent on one another.
What's the biggest thing the new staff has taught you or the rest of the defense?
Because everybody is just so new, just trying to be able to know one another, to be more vocal on the field. Whatever you do off the field, how close you are correlates to how you are on the field. So.
How soon did you know that you were going to stay at Michigan State with the new staff?
I'd say pretty late December. I mean, I never really had my mind made up whether I was staying or leaving or not. But, I just kind of wanted to see how the chips fell. I think I made the right decision in staying here. I really like the new staff and the things that they have going on.
Well, and what impressed you the most about the new staff that made you want to stay and not look other places?
Yeah, more specifically, Coach Rossi, when I talked to him on the phone when he was first hired here, he had a few good things to say about me, but most of it was just corrections about things that he felt like he could help me most improve on. And yeah.
What were those things?
Basic linebacker skills. So, blitzing, tackling, play recognition, footwork, things like that.
So he had already watched a lot of your film at that point?
I don't think it was a lot of it, just a few clips from, kind of just seeing who he was working with here, but enough to give me those coaching points.
Did you agree with it?
Yeah, I think, he's had a lot of experience. He's coached really good defenses, coached some really good players, so I take any advice that he gives me.
Does it help the fact that he's been in the Big Ten and knows and haven't seen you guys last year at all? I mean, does that play any factor in it?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, but, we kind of, laughed about it a little bit because, he's more focused on his team when he was at another school, so he really had, he probably knew who I was, but it's not like, I want to go to Michigan State to coach these guys. It was kind of just, he made the decision to come here, everybody accepted it, and, we're ready to get after it.
What's different about this team right now versus where the team was at this point last year?
I'd say defensively, we're more connected with the defense. We've met, like I said, we've met every day, making sure that everybody's under the same understanding. No discredit to the last staff, but it just seems like we're more connected this year in that way, and everybody understanding their role and other people's roles.
What's the dynamic between the guys who stuck around? I'm wondering, is there, when you go endure something that you guys did last year, does that create a bond or just sort of an understanding among each other? You guys have been through some things?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a closer bond with the guys that have been here, especially in the linebacker room with the guys that stays. But the good thing about having that bond is when we bring other people in here, they accept that, that's the past. Everybody accepts, the past is past. It's time to move on and focus on bigger and better things.
This must have been kind of crazy for you because you get here and you learn a system and that system's in the garbage now, and now you're starting all over again, learning another system on defense. That's had to be a little crazy in your head.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's how it's going to be in the NFL. So I'm just looking at it as a better way to prepare me for later down the road. You got to take one thing in. There's some struggles with forgetting old things or remembering. What you need to remember from past things and how it correlates to new things. But at the end of the day, defense is defense. There's some things that are going to be different, but as long as you're, attacking everything, it should be all right.
Jordan, with all the natural distractions that come up, at this point in your career, how do you stay grounded? How do you stay locked in?
God is my number one source whenever I feel I'm in distress. I always look to him first. I have a really loving family that I know I can reach out to at any time that support me in all my tribulations that I go through. So.
All right, great. Thank you.
Last spring, I think you said you'd take whatever role you could find, whether it's special teams or whatever. Did you exceed your own expectations as far as being, a starter and the number of snaps you logged as a true freshman?
I had my goals for the last season coming up. I fell short of a few of them, but I always felt like I was more than capable of going out there and competing with some of the best players. So.
how much transfers from the last system to this system for you guys?
As in, like, schematically, or what do you
Maybe a
mean?
little bit. I mean, I don't know how much schematically you guys have gotten into the thick of it yet, but like, I guess the teachings in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, like I was kind of saying before, defense is defense. Everybody has their own defense. It's just called something different. So there's some correlation, but of course, with Coach Rossi coming over, he has his own terms and own rules that he goes by that we apply now.
Is there anything different with having DC, who's the linebackers guy too?
Well, that was the case last year with Coach Hayes. So
Oh, true, yeah.
so it's not that much of a difference. So.
What would you tell yourself? You got to tell yourself last year. I mean, you couldn't imagine what was ahead for you. But if you had to tell yourself a piece of advice, what would it be?
Just keep playing and having fun. At the end of the day, you can't control what happens, but just as long as you show up every day and put in work, that's all that matters.
Obviously, you and Cal are the experienced guys in the room now, but talk about the other guys and maybe one or two that you see bright things for in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't see myself as a lot of experience. We brought in Wayne Matthews from ODU, who's a really good, detailed, hard worker. He's going to be a really good player for us. And then we brought in senior Jordan Turner from Wisconsin, who's also had more experience than me. So, I'm still kind of in that young guy role compared to some of the other guys in the room. But both of those guys are going to come in here and play their part. And then, we brought in a young guy, Brady. He's been, going through the ropes, learning new things, but he's getting increasingly better every day. So.
You mentioned the advice to yourself would be just have fun playing. How much did that factor into how it went last year when, obviously the opportunity for guys to hop in the portal was there when Mel was fired, but not many went. Most guys stayed. And obviously Harlan was credited with keeping them together. Was that, I guess, what was your mindset like at that time amid all the uncertainty?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of just the same thing. At the end of the day, I'm here to play football. I try not to get too distracted about the outside things that go on. So it was really the same mindset. As long as I'm here playing football, there's not too much to complain about.
Seemed like even as a freshman last year, you had a leadership role on this team. But how would you say that has improved now as you head into your sophomore season?
I would say this is still improving. Like I said, especially in our room, I'm still kind of the young guy. I know I've played here last year, but year-wise, I'm still one of the young guys. So just still trying to be as vocal as I can. Still trying to, accept the role as best as I can and go about it like that.
What were your initial impressions of Coach Smith when you first talked to him, and what were your impressions of him now that you've kind of gone through some practices and seen his demeanor on the field?
Yeah, so our first team meeting here, he gave us all a piece of paper and told us to write down the 3 things that we thought were the issues with the team last year. I wrote down 2 things, and on the third thing, let me backtrack real quick. He told us that he was going to go through all of these personally. And so I wrote down 2 things that I felt were an issue from last year. And on the third one, I told him, this is how we're first going to build trust. I just really want to know if you're going to read this or not. And so I left my number on there. I told him to give me a call once he read it. And I think a day or 2 after that, he gave me a call and we sat down. And that was kind of like a big jump start to our relationship. He's been with the offense more often, but just from that experience alone, I have a lot of trust in him, and I feel like he has the team's best interest at heart.
What were the other 2 things?
Kind of what Coach Smith talked about. Was high ego, high output, low ego. A lot of guys that we had on the team last year, everybody has their own ego. It's just being able to manage those egos. And I think the second thing I said was just not everybody being connected. And, given our situation last year, it's kind of hard to be. But, we've been doing a good job of just everybody being connected and whatnot this year. So.
And with the reverse psychology, you would say, if you see this coming, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. A lot of head coaches when they're in a position, they care, but not to a certain extent. They'll have somebody else do it just to kind of see what the basis is. But it meant a lot to me, and it was a great start to our relationship that he took the time out to personally read it and give me a call.
How is he on the field then? I mean, he seems like he's got a way about him, like a West Coast kind of mellowness, but is there an intense side that you get to see?
I haven't seen him get too riled up yet. I'm sure that he has that ability, but most of the times if we cross paths during practice, he's usually just pacing around, observing like a head coach. So.
It's a crazy question. You may have been asked this already, but for a freshman, asking why why you came back, because in this day and age, college football, people are leaving all the time and so forth. What drew you back to Michigan State to stay in that type of
Yeah, I kind of touched on it a little bit before. Coach Rossi had a big part to play in that. I spoke about our conversation our first conversation that we had, and how he didn't really, I think I had a pretty decent freshman year, and he kind of neglected that and kind of focused on more of the things that I needed to work on, and kind of how I looked at it is because transferring was an option. I felt like me staying here would basically be like I transferred with a whole new staff coming in. So I just felt that it was best, and this is a really good situation, and I feel like it's playing out well.
Why is it a good situation? What do you like about it?
I feel like I've learned a lot through Coach Rossi. I feel like I can be accepted more into that leadership role with the team. So yeah.
Who was the chief recruiter for your mom?
I don't think anybody had to. I know if you guys know, my mom loves it here.
Yeah.
So she wanted me to stay, but she's always been supportive and whatnot. So.
Did she? I mean, when you told her that you planned to stay, what was kind of her feeling?
Well, like I said, it wasn't like it was never like I don't know if I'm gonna stay or leave.
Yeah.
I was here. We never really. I showed up here in January, and we never really talked about. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go there. I'm looking at this or whatnot. I was enrolled here December, and I came back in January, and that was the plan. That was the deal.
Have you taken a minute to kind of process the wild year and a half now since you've been here?
Oh no! I mean, it's situation's long gone. I'm focused on spring ball, new team, new staff, getting after it.
Did you add weight at all, I guess, during the off season, just because the scheme is different and requires maybe more shedding blocks and some maybe more stuff that's physical, I guess, from that standpoint? I guess.
Yeah, when Coach Rossi first got here, he told me I had a good height, weight, and size on me. So just throughout the winter workouts and whatnot, I've been losing fat, gaining muscle, staying the same weight. So.
It sounds like kind of, I think, a recurring theme that we're hearing is that the staff has, I guess, attracted you guys because they have this ability not to blow smoke. They come at you straight and they stay straight, and the guys appreciate that.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. They'll let you know when you do something good, but even more importantly, they'll let you know when you do something bad. But we've, as a team, we've accepted, our mistakes. They make sure that they tell us our mistakes. We get it corrected, get it fixed, and we try not to make those mistakes again.
Appreciate it. Well, thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it, man.
Yep.
What's the most attractive aspect of the new scheme from your standpoint?
Just the opportunities that the linebackers can make. Coach Rossi has coached a lot of good linebackers in the NFL, and for good reason. He's a great coach. So just being here with him and taking all the knowledge that he has to get in is really attractive to me.
I mean, as far as the mentality, obviously everybody keeps talking about it's more aggressive. I mean, how much does that kind of seed buy-in a little bit easier when you do have more of an attack-minded scheme?
Yeah, as linebackers, we always want to attack. So that's really appealing to us when we're able to play free and make plays. So I think the whole linebacker room can agree with me when I say we're excited about that and being able to be in more positions to make plays.
I know it's early, but what do you think 7 practices and just kind of the outlook is for this team heading into the rest of spring practice and how things are going?
I think everybody's really excited, including myself. We've been taking steps as a defense. I can't speak on the whole team, but I'm sure the offense is taking steps as well. But we're keep preparing, we keep getting better, we keep competing, and at the end of the day, that's what's going to prepare us for the season and fall camp coming up. So.
I'm gonna put my sports psychology hat on. It seems like you're big on traits like trust and also being ego-less. That's what I'm kind of picking up. You can have an ego, but you choose not to. And talk about why trust is so important to you too.
Well, don't misunderstand me. I have an ego, but it's just being able to.
Is it in check? It's pretty managed. You're conscious of it?
I'd say so. Yeah. Everybody has an ego. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you have an ego about your profession and what you do. Yeah. So everybody has an ego. It's just being able to manage it and know when it's the right time to exploit that.
But that's a key point, though, that you can recognize it and determine where you can pick up on that. Is that something new you've kind of developed?
I wouldn't say it's new. I mean, it's kind of just being humble, but also having an understanding of the kind of player that you are.
Would you agree that's noteworthy, the way you take that approach, instead of being completely over the top or so humble that you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish?
For sure, yeah, I would agree with that. And speaking on, trust, that's an important thing with the staff, with the players. You know, if the coaches don't trust you, they won't put you in a game. And if you can't trust the people playing beside you, it's going to be hard communicating, getting things through. So that's, if the most important part for a team is trust.
How much do you think the talent overall is better than? I mean, better than what the results indicated? I guess the last couple of years on this defense and in general the team itself.
Yeah, the people that stayed, we had talent here before, so don't get it confused. We were just in a bad situation last year, but we had talent here, and the people that stayed are going to be great contributors. We brought in some new pieces as well, some freshmen coming in. And transfers. So, we have a really good team coming up this year. We're competing against each other each and every practice, which is going to, better set us up for the season coming up.
In what ways can you feel that you're better than you were maybe last November? I know you haven't been scrimmaging a lot yet, but can you feel that at this point?
Yeah, I'd say so. I've been talking to some people about last year and how I felt just more comfortable. I'm seeing things a little bit better, gaining information a little bit faster than I was around this time last year.
Jordan, sorry if you answered this already, but you talked about guys who stayed. Why did you decide to stay and take on this new challenge? I'm sure some